This is episode 6 of the Gambling Still Sucks podcast. In this episode, we're going to discuss something called the near miss and how knowing about it may help you to stop gambling. Hey there and welcome to the Gambling Still Sucks podcast. My name is Jamie. I am a compulsive gambler and I'm also the host of this show. The last day I gambled was July 15th of 2010. Now, in the last episode, we talked about dealing with gambling thoughts and urges. And in this episode, I wanted to dive into something that the gambling or gaming industry is doing to us and that we don't even know about. Or in my case, I didn't know about it. But once I did, it opened my eyes and really let me see the games in a completely different light. And so hopefully it does that for you as well. Now, what I'm talking about is called the near miss. And there are several different ways that people describe it. But the near miss effect is basically, think of whatever your game of choice was. If it was a slot machine, think of those times, all those times where you got whatever the item was, 3 cherries, but you needed 4 to win it all. And I wasn't a slot machine player, but I'm sure you can think of those times where you were so close to winning the jackpot. For me with poker, it'd be the times where, hey, I was 1 card off hitting the royal flush, which would have won the big jackpot. Or I was 1 card, the last card came off, and the guy pulled the lucky card where there were only 2 of them in the deck to beat me. So think of whatever your game of choice was. Think of those times where you almost won. I mean, you were so close to winning. Now think of what it did to your brain and your thoughts. If you're like me, it got you fired up, a little mad, but also like you sort of felt like you won the hand. Like for me with poker, I got all my money in with the odds in my favor and then I got screwed. I was sort of okay with that. And I imagine for slot machines, it's like, man, you see that come up and you're like, I was so close. I almost hit it. The other place that they use this quite a bit are in scratch-off tickets. I mean, I've never bought a scratch-off ticket and had it be a complete loser, right? Usually you scratch it off and it's like $100,000, $5, $5, $100,000. And so you're like, oh man, I only have to match 1 of these. And I have 2 more chances. But then it comes out and the rest don't match anything. But, oh man, I had 2 out of the 3 for the 100,000, the big prize. And there's been a lot of research done on this near miss situation and what it does to our brains especially. And they've studied how people react that are compulsive gamblers versus other people. And what they found is that in compulsive gamblers, the near miss registers just slightly less on kind of that reward system in our brain as an actual win. So when they do this and we see, okay, hey, we got 2 out of the 3 or 4 out of the 5, or I had all the cards except for that last one, but I was almost there. Our brains treat that differently than they do just an all-out loss. The reality is it's just, you win or you lose. And so we lost. But our brains treat that near miss differently, and it really pays off those reward centers. And so we're getting increases, I think it's in dopamine, and just those pleasure centers in our brains react differently to these near misses than they do to an all-out loss. And so what's the gaming industry going to do? Knowing this, they're going to make games and design games that consistently have near misses. And so, as I mentioned, you never get a scratch-off ticket that's just 9 different things or how many other things are on it that are all different, right? You always get at least a couple matches that get you real close, but not quite to the prize. And the same with slot machines. They can generate these things to sort of get you real close to the grand prize or a big win, but not quite there. And they're doing all these because they know that for us compulsive gamblers, these are things that keep us coming back. They reward our brains in a way that's almost as good as if we would have actually won, even though we should just feel like it's a loss. And so the difference, like I say, in how our brains react to these near misses as compared to somebody that's not a compulsive gambler it's completely different. They just look at it and they say, well, I lost. And it's not, I almost won. And so this is one thing that I will link some of the links and studies in the show notes. Definitely check it out, because I think it's one of those things that, hey, knowledge is power. And if you can see near misses in action, it's going to help you know what's going on and prevent you from falling victim to that same thing, which is keeping you in that cycle and saying, hey, but I almost won the jackpot, and maybe the next spin is going to be the winner. Because that hope that we all live off and they thrive on us having, that, hey, next time's the time. It's going to be different. I almost got it today, but I'm confident I'm going to get it next time. It's something that, like I say, they prey on, they know about, they're designing into games. And so I wanted to do an episode on this, and this is going to be a shorter episode, but just really to highlight the fact that these people are doing things directly to mess with our brains or to prey on our brains. And so I want you to know what they're doing so you can sort of look at it and say, hey, I know what you're doing, but it's not going to work on me. Because, like I say, knowledge is power. So hopefully this has opened your eyes up. I'm sure if you're like me, you look back and you say, yeah, I remember the time I almost had the royal flush, or I remember the time I almost had this. And I think if you look at it, it probably got you gambling even more after that, because you were so close. You were almost there to where you could quit. That belief that we could all hit the big one and then quit, which we all know is not true, but that's what we wanted to believe. And so that wraps up this episode of the Gambling Still Sucks podcast. If you have any interesting near-miss experiences, feel free to tweet about them or share them with me. Because I think, like, if you're like me, you'll look back and you'll say, oh, yeah, I remember this time, or I remember this time. And those are some of those triggers. So hopefully this will empower you and help make it easier to live a gambling-free life in recovery. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Now, before you go, I'd like to go over a few very important things. First of all, I think it's important to remember that problem gambling is a treatable disorder. There's no scientific evidence or study that suggests that this is just a terminal condition and that we're going to be forced to deal with the negative side effects and results of our actions for the rest of our lives. And so while I know that in the moment it feels like this is something that you're going to be struggling with for the rest of your life, science just doesn't back that up. Recovery is real, but we just need to seek out treatment. And so that brings me to point number 2, which is that help is available. Many of the states here in the United States actually offer free counseling and therapy for not only gamblers, but family members as well. And so you just need to know that these programs are available. And the best way to start finding out more information is to call the hotline number. And that's 1-800-522-4700. Again, that's 1-800-522-4700. And this is the number run by the National Council on Problem Gambling. And so it covers all 50 states. And they're going to have information and be able to start to guide you on the path to seek out help in the area where you live. And these hotlines aren't just available here in the United States. They're available around the world. So just simply open up a web browser, type in gambling help, gambling hotline, and you'll be able to find the information for your local area. In addition to the hotlines, there are numerous places where you can find gambling support and information online. If you go to gamblingstillsucks.com/help, I'll list some of these things, and I'll continue to add to this as I find new resources, whether they're chat groups or online forums or just great information. So again, that was gamblingstillsucks.com/help. As a disclaimer, this podcast does not provide legal or medical advice. Look, I'm not a doctor, a therapist, or an attorney. I'm just a guy who had a gambling problem. So while we'll discuss a lot of topics and I'll provide a lot of insight into what's worked for me, please seek out the help of a professional. Go visit a lawyer, a doctor, or a therapist to help you deal with your gambling problem. The information that we discuss is for informational purposes and should not be taken as professional legal or medical advice. And reliance on the information appearing on the podcast is solely at your own risk. The music for this podcast is Something Elated by Broke for Free and licensed under the Creative Commons.